Well, fifth grade, here is your art project for this week. This is project number one that you'll be doing. You'll need your colored pencils. I have just a small set that I have here. These are actually for students to use. They're in the desk where the files are in the back and the cutting board and the hole puncher. And this is the project that we're going to do. Now, one of the things you'll notice about these projects is, first of all, they have all kinds of different ideas and things that they're trying to do. For instance, here they're trying to teach you about primary colors. They give you an idea and understanding of introducing primary, secondary colors using a color wheel, and this is your color wheel here. And then exposure to colors of spectrum. And so one of the things that you want to understand or see is this. Notice, as you can see, that the coloring that was done here, and this is just what's been printed in the book, but see how the lines all go in the same direction. I'm going to show you something that I think would be helpful for you, especially for the list of what you're going to do. So you see here, here's project one. This is the one that we're going to draw. You see it's much larger than what the little picture shows. So we'll go ahead and tear that out. Now, one of the most important parts is trying to find colors that are actually the right colors to use. All right? They give you blue, red, or magenta, and they call it red and yellow. And you notice that between the two colors is the color of what occurs when it mixes. So, for instance, the red and the yellow, you see the red, where was that? Red here, and yellow mixes with it, and that makes that orange, which is very close to what that orange is. So you won't need orange. The only colors you'll need are what it tells you in the procedure. Now, the procedure here says you're supposed to color the diamond shapes yellow. All right, the diamond shapes. That's these diamonds. So all these diamonds, you're going to color yellow. All right, that's your first step. Now, I'm not going to do the entire thing. I'll do part of it so that you can see, because it'll take me too long to do it all. And for you to all to watch me do that, that's kind of silly. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find, is this the right color yellow? So I'm going to use this and I'm going to match it. Now that looks pretty close. So I'm going to use this one. This will be my yellow that I'm using. You can see it's pretty close to the original color. And then I'm looking for a red. And I've got a lot of choices in here for a red. There are, it says orange. Let me see if this one is close to it. All right, now it's pretty close. It's not too far off. I could use that one if I can't find a different one, but I want to try to find one as closely as possible to my original color. This says red, Carmite. Now that's pretty close, so I'm going to try that one then. What you'll notice about art supplies is that the more money you spend, the better quality you're going to get. These two pencils that were basically from students that didn't want them anymore, and you notice that there are no erasers on the end of them. That would indicate that they're used for art. But you can see right now these two colors, they work pretty well in what we're doing. And I'm going to show you some tricks of how to get things right. Now the other color that I need is blue. And if I can find blue, let's see what that is right there. That says violet. That one says blue. Okay, so let's see if that's close. That is close. So you can see this is a little bit darker. So I wanted something a little bit lighter than that. That's probably too light. Yeah, that's too light. Let's see. There's another. Is that same blue? Yeah, same blue. So I'm going to keep looking until I find something a little bit lighter. Who knows? Maybe I'll find one of those special pencils as well that I have in there. That's another of that same kind. Now they have these erasable ones. I wouldn't suggest using those, mainly because once you use them, if you try to erase, it really does sort of make a mess of things. Now that's not too far off from it. It's still a little bit dark. We'll put that one off to the side for right now. That's called cerulean, I guess. Cerulean. And continuing to look. And you'd be surprised how many different shades of colors there are. For those of you that love to use crayons, I think that, man, that's not too bad. That's going to be even closer. So I'm going to change that one out for this one. Now this is a Crayola erasable, but it doesn't really matter for what my project is, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. Let me see if I have I'm going to go, and because of what I was able to find in my other one, what color that is a grayish blue, okay. Because of what I was able to find in my other one, I mean I could dig through here, maybe I'd find something a little bit better. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'll go ahead and look through my other one. The other one's where I found these two. Maybe I'll find something similar in here for that. And I'm dropping pencils all over the floor. So looking through, this is my best one so far. So I'm keeping that there for a moment. See what else we can come up with here. Some of these are from students I had when I first started teaching. Lisa. I'm trying to remember her last name now, but see, there's a green that's from one of those same colors that is a very nice pencil to be able to use. Now you'll definitely want to, if possible, you'll want to sharpen them. Not too sharp though, because with these pencils, now this one I'm going to sharpen because it's very dull in the end, so not that one, but look in here, see what I have. Some of these are just repeats of what I've seen in the other box. I'll just go with what I have, because as I said, it's not the most important thing. I'll be right back. I'm going to sharpen this a little bit, and probably the blue one because the end is dull. And so I'll put this back in, and I'll be right back. Need that red, yeah. Good. All right. All right. So now, one of the things that you need to learn are something called the grip. There are two types of grip that you would need to use for coloring, if you want to call it that. It's really not coloring, but doing shading. And this is really what we're working on, is shading, because you'll do some shading projects that will really make a difference when you do them. So this red right here, you can see, that's the one I had chosen. And so there are two ways. You can do straight up and down like you hold a regular pencil. That makes the color darker and more, well, basically just darker. That's the idea. The other way is to do what's called the underhand grip. You have it laying in your finger. Now if it's longer like this one, you can see it helps. The short one's going to be a little bit difficult but I'm holding it with my thumb. That's the idea underneath. And so then if you do this where you're shading in, you can see how I can get a nice even shade. So I can press a little harder and I can make it darker. I can press even harder and make it darker. And so you can see how it adjusts according to the thing, but it'll never be as dark as that, really, unless I use this kind of a grip where it is more solid like that. Now, actually, I don't mind getting rid of my tip because this is a little sharp, and so I'll press really hard to try to get rid of it to make it a little bit duller so it can do its job here. All right, so I think I'm ready. And so what I'm going to do is you're graded for three things in art. The first one is project completing. So just completing the project, you automatically get 40 points. And the second part is your following directions. Now your directions are always your procedures. This only has 5 procedures, but let me tell you, it makes a big difference in this project, following directions, because you really need to do what it's supposed to do. This one actually has 5 directions, but the last one's optional, and I don't want you to cut out the geometric design, so you don't need to worry about that part of it. And so the only thing you need to do is 1 through 4. The first thing it says is color diamonds yellow, and so I'm going to do that. Now, notice this here, and this is the sample I like to follow. This is pretty solid. You don't see any lines of directions where things are going. Here you can see the lines going this way, and so they're doing that in order to be able to shade it evenly. And so I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and fill in the yellow pretty solidly. And I'm just going to do this diamond for right now so you can see what happens when you do the next two steps. Now you'll do all the diamonds. So this one, this one, this one, this one, all the way around so that the whole thing is yellow. You can see where the yellow goes to, okay? And so I'm going to make it pretty solid. Now if I overlap a little bit down here, it doesn't matter because this is all supposed to be yellow as well. But I'm looking for quality. That's the other 30 points. So you have 40 points for finishing the project, you have 30 points for following directions, and then you have 30 points for quality. And this is where how you do this and how it looks is going to make a big difference in your grade. So if you did the first two things and you did it exactly right, you would get 70 points. So that's a D minus actually. But if you, but your quality, if you make it so that you're, and by now you're in 6th grade, you should be able to color, if you want to call this coloring, you should be able to color it so that you're inside the lines. You shouldn't be having little jagged edges going outside. Now if this was up here, it would make a difference because that jagged edge, this is already going to be yellow, so it didn't bother me so much. But you see how I was very careful when I was coming in this line. And so I'm working on then getting all the yellow here. And get all this yellow to where it's solid. All right. So now you're supposed to do that for all 6 diamonds. Let's say we've done that. That's now I'm going to says color the circular band red. Now this is the circular band. You can see it's red. So I'll take my red and I'm going to use the underhand grip for this part. Now I'm only going to do from here to here. Okay. This part, this is the diamond. So I'm going to shade all in the same direction. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm using my underhand grip and I'm shading all in the same direction on this. You don't want to do different directions. It really makes it look bad when you do that. And so now you can see it's getting pretty even. All right, and then I'm going to go over into my yellow as well. Now look at how it makes that red turn an orangish color. And so it's still going all in the same direction. And then I get back over into this band over here, and so I'm still doing my red. I'm trying to keep it as even as possible all the way around. I don't want to make one part too dark or too light. You can always make it a little bit darker if you need to. You can't make it lighter though. So I'm going to stop here at my end of my band there. All right, so that was part 2. Now again, you would do that all the way around after you've done all the yellow. You would do it. Now you see how that came out nice and orange there. And I'm filling in some of the spaces, make it fit right. Look at that. That's you can definitely see the mix of the colors between the red and the yellow to make that orange. I mean, it matches pretty well. If you look at it like this, you can see that's a pretty close match to it. All right, but of course you know it was the red pencil that you used. Then step 3 says use blue to color the design outside the circular band. So the design outside the circular band, they're talking about with the blue, is this part. That's that design that's outside the circular band. So you do the blue first. And so I'll do the blue here. Now again, I'm going to follow all the same direction. These I'm going this way. Now you got to be careful because you can easily overlap, but it's not going to be too much of a problem because this whole thing is going to be blue. And so I've got it started, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my underhand grip. The underhand grip gives you a better coverage, gives you more coverage on the whole thing. Now you got to be careful when you get to the edge here because you can't go past that line right here because that outside part is supposed to be done. Yeah, and so that's the next part that you're doing. So you don't want to do that yet. And so start with this blue. Try and make it all about the same color. Now, going over my yellow. Notice what color it's supposed to make it. So let's see what happens. And you can see that green showing up because of the blue mixed with the yellow. And you can see how that affects it. And so Now, one of the issues is this is a cheaply made pencil because it's the Crayola colored pencils are not the same quality as those other ones I was using, which are more artist type colored pencils. And so those of you that do some art, I know Elizabeth is really into art, but for those that do art, they understand that there are higher quality equipment for art that one can get. I've always enjoyed art, never really got too much of a chance to do it, but you can see this, the reason that it's like this, because of the quality underneath. All right, so we got that part done. All right, now really this should have been a little bit better, but because of the quality of this one, it's not going to work too well. I can try it a little bit harder. That looks like it might help a little bit, but you can see the difference in color. All right, anyway, so the next part then is going to the outside rectangles overlay. Color over blue with red, it says. All right, so I'm going to put the blue first. Then it says overcolor the blue with red. In fact, if you want to, while you're doing this outside, you can, while you're doing this band, you can do these outside tabs as well in blue, since you're going to be doing blue anyway. And it says though, color your light on the left side and gradually coloring darker toward the right. So this is our left. So we're going to do light and then we're going to get darker. And so that means you put extra pressure as you're going further left. It says overcolor blue with red. Oh, so this is all the same. The blue is all the same. And then you're going to take your red and you're going to color over the blue from the left light to the right dark. All right, so you see here from the left light, from the right dark. All right. All right, so I've got that now. So let's do this one here as well. So this will be all the same. Now see how he messed up there? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to erase that little part on the outside. All right, and then I'm going to color the rest of this. All right, now I've got this all nice and even. All right, now I'm going to take my red, and like it says, light on the outside. So I'm going to try to light, and then I'm going to start getting a little darker as I go along. Now you want to always want to try to match as much as possible. Now this blue might have been a little bit light for what I was doing here. So maybe a little bit darker blue would have worked better. But it doesn't have to match it exactly. The whole idea is that it looks good, and then as you're going across, you're actually making it, you're following directions. You're doing what it says to do. You're making it darker down on this side. Now I might have to push a little harder to make it darker because of the mix of these pencils. And so I'm lightening up as I go down this way, and you can see how it goes from darker to lighter. And so you can see the difference there. Now it doesn't look exactly like this. Probably with if I used all the same type of pencils, that might be better. For this type of project, these might not even have worked as well, mainly because they are for artistic type things and they have a little bit more waxy feel to it. These probably are not. And so you can see there what I've done. And the whole idea is consistency as far as the quality. So you can see there I'm going to get a little bit darker. And I'm getting my red. Now you want to be careful because little things like that might cause me some problems. Let's see if this erases. I don't even know if this will erase or not. Oh, look at that. Mostly erases, but some of it didn't. So anyway, you see the difference there. And if you wanted to even change the overhand grip on this part, the regular grip, to make that a little bit darker, you just got to be careful of these edges. So you can see, and then you can see how it gets lighter and lighter. All right, so that's your project, except you're going to do the whole thing, not just part of it. But hopefully that'll be a big help to you. And then this is due next Monday. Now, if you don't get it turned in, then it's still you still have to do it, but it's just going to be a missing project until that time. All right. Hopefully you figured it out with that. If you have any questions, don't forget to come and ask. Have a good day. Bye.